Most women struggle in business, not because they're not smart, talented, or capable, but because they have been following the wrong playbook. If you're tired of working against yourself and you want a smarter way to succeed, you need to hear this. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I have over 12 years of marketing experience, including running my own marketing agency for the past half decade. I have built multiple businesses from scratch, and I have learned that success is not just about hustling, right? It's about understanding how you work best as a woman in business. The business world can feel like a boys' club, and the advice out there is mostly built for them, not for us. I spent years trying to keep up, right? Waking up at 5 a.m., grinding 24/7, pushing through the exhaustion. And I realized that I was playing a game that literally was not designed for me, right? It wasn't until I started working with my body instead of against it that everything changed for me. But this isn't just another video meant to just empower and motivate you, right? I want to share actual practical strategies that can make you more effective, more successful, and more in control of your businesses. So by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to sync your business schedule with your menstrual cycle, how to stop people pleasing and set stronger boundaries in business, how to make smarter decisions by balancing intuition and logic, and how to protect your energy and avoid burnout in a world built for men by men. I will also share practical action steps so that you can start taking action today, because I don't want this to just be another motivational video. I want you to know exactly what you need to do to work smarter as a woman. So the first piece of advice that every woman needs to hear is this: work with your cycle, not against it. And no one ever taught us this, right? No one ever told us that the way we've been working, pushing ourselves to perform the same way as men every single day, literally goes against how our bodies actually function, right? Because here's the truth. Men operate on a 24-hour hormonal cycle. Their testosterone peaks in the morning, declines by evening, and resets overnight, right? So that's why they can follow the same work schedule every single day without any major fluctuations in their energy. As women, on the other hand, we operate on a 28 to 35 day cycle, right? Our hormones shift throughout the month, and this affects our energy, our focus, and our productivity, right? So why are we still forcing ourselves to work like men? It makes absolutely no sense. And yet, this is what we naturally are inclined to do because we live in a world designed by men for men, right? So what else are we supposed to do? And, hustle culture really promotes this. Wake up at 5 a.m., work 12 hours a day, forget sleep, grind every single day, no matter how you feel, right? Fuck how you feel, just do it anyway. I did this for years. I ignored my body, I pushed through exhaustion, and I wondered why during some weeks, I felt unstoppable, and during other weeks, I literally could barely even get out of bed, right? And then at 30 years old, I learned about cycle syncing, and it felt like unlocking a cheat code for productivity and success. Once I found out more about the cycle phases and how I can actually use them to my advantage, I literally felt like I had unlocked some super powerful but secret wisdom. And I want you to experience the same, right? Your menstrual cycle is not just about your period. It's an entire biological rhythm that affects how you show up in your business and in your life as well. So there are 4 phases, right? First, the menstrual phase, which is perfect for rest and reflection. So during that time, it's best to focus on admin work, on planning and reflection. In general, you should use this phase to take it slower if you can. Instead of forcing yourself to power through, allow rest to be productive, because rest is also productive. Then the follicular phase, right? That's all about brainstorming and planning. During this time, you will notice that you're more energized, that you feel more creative and more inspired. So really take advantage of it and use this energy and inspiration for brainstorming new ideas and to plan or start new projects. If you need to map out a new project, this is literally the best time to do it. Then ovulation. Ovulation is great for socializing and communication, right? During this time, your energy is high, it's at its peak. So you can focus on sales calls, on meetings, on networking, on public facing activities, right? Plan your most high visibility tasks around this phase. And then finally, the luteal phase, which is good for execution and wrap up. So this phase is perfect for slowing down, for wrapping things up, and to complete tasks and focused work. During this phase, you should really prioritize execution over brainstorming. This is the perfect time to get ish done. If you start tracking your cycle and if you start syncing your schedule and your tasks with your cycle, you literally will be so much more effective and so much more productive. It's the ultimate secret to working smarter as a woman. I used to just hustle 24/7, no matter how I was feeling, on days where I felt super drained and tired, on days when I just came on my period, on days when I felt like I had no energy to focus. I just ignored it and I worked through it, and as a result, I felt burnt out very quickly and I was so much less productive. So learning about the menstrual cycle was a true game changer for me. And it made me realize that you can actually work less and still achieve more, right? You just need to stop following a system that was never designed for you. Now I feel super in tune with my body and I know exactly how to work with it and not against it. And this approach can really help you to avoid burnout and to improve your productivity while honoring your natural rhythm. Right, second, people pleasing. People pleasing is something that a lot of women naturally struggle with. We always want to please everyone, we want to make sure that we can take care of others, and that's just our nature. But it's so easy to completely focus on other people and their wants and needs and completely forget about our own. When I first started my business, I said yes to everything. I over-delivered, I undercharged, and I let clients walk all over me. And it took me years to realize that being nice was hurting my business and my mental health. I was constantly on my phone or in my email inbox replying to clients 1 second after they messaged. And I didn't realize that I was literally conditioning them to do this because I showed them that, hey, it's okay if you email me on a Saturday evening at 8 p.m, I will get to it right away. And I also used to have a tendency to do things that I didn't initially agree to do, right? That were outside of the project scope that we agreed to. And, I wanted to over-deliver, I wanted to keep clients happy, I wanted to show them, hey, I can do everything for you. But I ended up completely overworked, underpaid, and with a lot of resentment. I thought that I was doing the right thing, being proactive and showing commitment and, showing how hard I work and that they're in good hands, but it absolutely backfired. Boundaries are really crucial. And the lack of them, creates energy leaks that become so big that eventually you are going to burn out. And that's what happened to me. Setting boundaries is tough. And it takes a while to get used to it and to do it confidently, especially if you've been a people pleaser all your life. Do not expect to see an instant shift overnight, right? As with anything, it's a process and it takes time. But the first step is to really acknowledge that this isn't serving you, it's not helping you, it's not helping your clients or your customers, and that it's actually hindering you from growing your business. And then you can take the next step and actually practice getting us out of your comfort zone and setting those boundaries. Do not agree to tight deadlines. Do not agree to deliver work that's outside of the scope that you initially agreed to without any extra compensation. Do not avoid difficult conversations. Instead, start saying no with confidence and set clear expectations from the start. I see this all the time. Women say, this doesn't feel good, so I won't do it. But not everything in business is going to feel good at first, right? Selling felt weird to me. Charging high prices felt weird to me. Setting boundaries felt weird to me. But that wasn't my intuition. It was just discomfort. My subconscious was trying to keep me in my comfort zone because that's what our brains are wired to do, right? Your brain wants you to stay safe, to stay small, and to avoid risks. But guess what? Success requires taking risks. It requires making bold moves and stepping into uncertainty. And this is where a lot of women get stuck because they confuse intuition with fear. Fear keeps you stuck, intuition guides you forward, right? The trick is learning to tell the difference, and that's really hard. Intuition is very powerful, right? And as women, we naturally have a stronger intuition than men. So that gut feeling that you get when something just doesn't sit right. That's your intuition talking. But here's the catch. Your intuition protects you from bad decisions, but it can also trick you into avoiding hard decisions, right? The hard but right decisions. Because usually the hard decisions are the right ones, usually. For example, your gut might tell you to not sign a client, to not start working with them, because something just feels off, something doesn't feel right. That's your intuition. But if your gut tells you to not charge high prices because it feels wrong, that's not your intuition, that's discomfort because you hold the belief that you cannot charge high prices because you might feel that you're not worth it. You might have belief around that you need to actually reframe. And that's why we need both intuition and logic to make smart decisions, especially in business. Intuition alone is not enough, even if we are naturally inclined to think so. I was forced to learn this the hard way, and I learned this by working with my husband actually. He's highly logical and analytical, and I'm extremely intuitive, and so I had to really learn not always to just rely on my intuition alone, but also to look at all the facts, all the information that I have in front of me, and to really see how that aligns with what my gut is telling me, right? To work with both my logic and my intuition. There were times when my gut told me not to work with a client, but logically, I couldn't see why, right? It went against my intuition, and every single time I regretted it. But now I simply combine both. I listen to my intuition, but I also rationally analyze the situation to make informed decisions. And I like to call this the two-part approach, right? First, you listen to your gut, and then you apply logic and you analyze the situation before you make a decision. And that way, you can pay attention to the signs your body is sending you, but you also logically consider all potential outcomes and risks, all the pros and cons of your decision. When both are completely aligned, it's a very clear sign, right? It's a very easy decision, but sometimes it's a bit more tricky than that. And when my intuition is telling me something else than my brain, I would typically listen to my intuition over my brain. But it's very important for me to logically look at all the possible outcomes first and not just to jump straight away into an impulsive decision that is made simply by my gut. We live in a world where hustle harder is glorified. But here's the truth, rest is also productive. Taking breaks intentionally, making time in your schedule to rest and recharge and listening to your body is not lazy, it's smart. And it's necessary, it's needed. But it doesn't come easy. And especially for high achievers and ambitious women like us, it's freaking hard. When I first started my business, I compared myself to my husband constantly. And I also used to consume a lot of male business content, all of the marketing business bro content. And, that constantly made me feel that I wasn't good enough, that I was always behind, that I was not doing enough, I was not working hard enough, even though I was literally working Monday through Sunday. And I didn't take a single day off. All of 2023. I even worked on my birthday and on Christmas every single day. And I constantly thought that I needed to be more productive. I needed to do more. I saw my husband, work hours without a break, have the same energy levels every single day. And I felt so bad because on some days, particularly during my luteal phase and on my period, I was just too tired and I couldn't really get as much done. And I just felt so bad about it. Then I started learning more about my cycle and how my body works. And that men's testosterone peaks in the morning, while women's energy shifts throughout the month, like I mentioned earlier. And men recover overnight, but women take longer to recover. And men really thrive on intensity, but women thrive on sustainability. The list goes on. And I realized that I was comparing apples to pears and that I was trying to compete by using my weaknesses, not my strengths. And I will admit that this is still something that I'm struggling with. I still have this constant need to be productive no matter what. And even if I know that rest is productive too, I still feel guilty when I rest. But I know that it's so important and I know that we need to rest, especially as women. And again, in a world designed by men for men, it's so hard to reshape, your beliefs and your career and your life as a woman. And it takes time, it's a process. We really have to give ourselves some grace and be patient. It's easy to just get into the trap of toxic productivity, just how it's easy to get into the trap of toxic positivity, right? It's the same. Being productive is crucial and being positive is crucial, but you can take it too far. As with anything, there's a spectrum, and if you're sitting too far on one end of the spectrum, you will experience extremes in your life, and that's never good. And don't get me wrong, there will be times in your business journey, especially in the startup phase, where you will have to work super hard and you won't be able to take, as many holidays, as many breaks, you won't be able to take much time off. But this will only be for a certain period of time, right? And even during that period, you can still intentionally take short breaks. That is important, it's much needed, right? You need to rest and recharge. But a healthy balance, looks like a pendulum that is swinging back and forth and doesn't get stuck on one side for too long. So if you're always on, like I was, you will feel burnt out very soon. So you really need to find your own way of switching off and really just design a schedule that includes rest, downtime, and self-care, and one that is ideally synced with your cycle, like I mentioned earlier. So what can you start doing today to build your business the feminine way and work with your energy and your body, not against it? First of all, start tracking your cycle. This only works, by the way, if you're not on hormonal birth control, since you don't have a proper cycle when you're on hormonal birth control. So I highly recommend informing yourself about the menstrual cycle. There's honestly so much I didn't know for most of my life as a woman. I also know that more women feel the same way. And I didn't find out how the menstrual cycle works until I was 30, which is so embarrassing. And I didn't even know I could track it, right? So I took it a step further and I actually hired a fertility awareness method coach because I really wanted to make sure that I'm doing everything right and properly learning how to actually track my cycle. And there's lots of great free resources about this topic online. So, I recommend just getting started by doing your own research. And also just a disclaimer, please do not use cycle tracking as a form of birth control. I'm only talking about cycle tracking in the context of being aware of your cycle phases so you can actually sync them to your business and to your schedule. So give yourself permission to work differently, right? You don't have to hustle the same way every single day like men. You don't have to feel guilty for resting. You just need to work smarter, not harder. And most business advice is built for men. Most success models ignore women's biology completely. So if you ever feel like something isn't working for you, in 99 out of 100 cases, it's not because you're lazy or unmotivated. It's because you're trying to force yourself into a system that was never designed for you. And the moment you start working with your cycle instead of against it, you unlock a level of productivity and energy that you didn't even know you had. And that's the real secret to building a sustainable business as a woman. All right, next, start setting clear boundaries. This is going to be tough, but write down your non-negotiables and then you can go from there, because these non-negotiables are really the boundaries that you know you will not cross no matter what. So whether it's not answering emails and texts from your clients after 6 p.m. or not working on weekends, know your limits and really communicate them clearly to your clients and your team. And then practice saying no with confidence. You deserve to have a business that works on your terms and clients that respect your time and your energy, especially if you run a service business like I do. Very important. Next, start balancing intuition and logic, right? Before making decisions, take a moment to actually check in with your gut feeling, but then back it up with logic and really look at the situation from all angles and analyze all possible outcomes, best and worst case scenarios, to really ensure that you're making the right move and that you're making the right decision for you. And then start protecting your energy, right? Create an intentional schedule that works for you, not against you. Build in rest days and unapologetically take time off when you need it. Create a no list. A list of things that you won't do because they drain you, like taking calls during your rest phase or working late at night if you're naturally a morning person. And then last but not least, embrace being yourself. You do not have to fit into the nice girl box to succeed, right? Be bold, be assertive, and remember that setting boundaries is not only okay, it's essential, it's necessary. So I really hope that this video has given you a new perspective on building a business as a woman. My mission is to share everything I know, no gatekeeping, no sales pitch, just real raw advice to help you succeed on your own terms. If you found this helpful, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean the absolute world to me. My goal is to build a community full of strong, supportive women so that we can all grow together.